and welcome to another edition of the Hardline Curling Show. This week on the show, it's win or go home time at the Scotties and the Canadian U18 Championships. We dive into Pool A for part one of our Montana's Brier preview, and one of the top contenders for the national men's title joins us as he prepares for the tournament. The ice is fresh, so let's get started. It's been a chilly week in Thunder Bay, Ontario, site of this year's Scotties Tournament of Hearts, but the action inside Fort William Gardens is heating up with a champion set to be crowned in just a couple of days' time. Now, it's already been an exciting week of curling, full of great shot making, thrilling moments, and of course, a few surprises as well. Now, we're recording this episode a little bit earlier in the week, so if you'd like to know the latest scores and standings, make sure you head to curling.ca/scoreboard. Now, the 3-4 page playoff game goes at 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, followed by the 1-2 page playoff game at 7 p.m. Eastern. Then it's on to Championship Sunday, with the semifinal set for 1 p.m. and the final going at 7 p.m. again with both times Eastern. We will have a full recap of the championship for you here next week on the show. Ice conditions are always a big topic of discussion at any major curling event, but ice outside the rink, and snow for that matter, also playing a role at this year's Canadian Under-18 Championships. Not so much the deep freeze in Saskatoon where the event is taking place, but those nasty winter storms out east last week, which caused all kinds of travel issues for a number of teams trying to make their way to Saskatchewan. And as a result, the start of the championships pushed back a day. And even as the first draws got underway on Monday, several teams had still not yet arrived in the Bridge City. Some of those teams did find ways to get on the ice while stranded in Toronto. Meanwhile, the teams that did make it to Saskatoon played their first games at the Nutana Curling Club. Now, as of this recording, tournament organizers were still working on a number of scheduling changes, with the gold medal games tentatively scheduled for Sunday, one day later than originally planned. However, for the most up-to-date schedule info, just visit curling.ca/scoreboard. You can catch all the action for free on YouTube as well, and we'll let you know how it all played out on a full recap on next week's show. Hopefully there won't be any travel issues for the 18 teams who will be heading to Prospera Place in Kelowna, BC for the 2025 Montana's Brier, which begins on February 28th. Now, just like we did for the Scotties, we're going to split our championship preview into two parts, starting this week with a look at the 9 teams in Pool A, 8 of which will be on the ice on Friday night's opening draw. That includes the team everyone is chasing, the defending champions, Team Canada, led by the most decorated skip in Brier history, Brad Gushue, who already holds the record for most Brier titles with 6, but can make some more history this year as he looks to become the first skip to win 4 straight Canadian men's championships. Now, it's already been an eventful season for Team Gushue, who parted ways with second EJ Harnden just days after losing the final at their first Grand Slam of the year, the Hearing Life Tour Challenge. Now, Harnden was part of last year's team and the year before. Replacing him in the lineup, though, none other than 2021 Brier champion Brendan Bottcher. The new-look Team Gushue still seeking its first title together, though they did finish second at another slam, the Co-op Canadian Open. So things perhaps a bit more unsettled for Team Gushue than they typically are heading into the championship as they continue to adjust to the lineup change. But they still remain one of the favorites to win the whole thing. The squad is rounded out by mainstays Jeff Walker at lead and Mark Nichols at third, with Adam Casey serving as the alternate. Now, there's no shortage of heavy hitters joining Team Canada in Pool A, including the team that EJ Harnden joined after leaving the Gushue rink. Matt Dunstone's team from the Fort Rouge Curling Club in Winnipeg is one of the direct entries that pre-qualified for the Brier based on the results from last season. They're currently the top-ranked team in Canada, number 3 in the world, even after replacing BJ Neufeld with Harnden just before Christmas. Now, the squad, which also includes Colton Lott at third and EJ's brush brother Ryan Harnden at lead, has won 3 events on tour this season and made the semifinals in a pair of Grand Slams. Now, Matt Dunstone has been knocking on the door for the last few Briers, finishing third in 2020 and 2021 and losing in the final to Gushue 2 years ago. So could this be the year that the Sheriff finally breaks through? We will see. Next up, we have a familiar face wearing unfamiliar colors as John Epping is set to compete in his 4th Brier Championship, but first one representing Northern Ontario. Epping's previous 3 Brier appearances all came as the skip for Team Ontario, but he's traded the red and black for the green and gold, and his squad playing well this season with 5 tour victories and a runner-up finish, pushing them to number 10 in the world rankings and number 5 in Canada. The Sudbury-based team features brothers Jacob and Tanner Horgan at third and second respectively, and Ian McMillan at lead. Epping's best Brier result as a bronze medal back at its debut in 2018. Now, speaking of hardware, our next Pool A skip has plenty of it. Kevin Cooey's team, Alberta, was one of the last to qualify for this year's tournament, and they'll look to ride that wave of momentum right through to a national title. Now, the veteran skip knows a thing or two about how to do it, with 4 Brier championships on his resume, the last of which came in 2019. He's been to 2 more finals since then, losing to Brendan Botcher in 2021 and Gushu in 2022. He remains one of the most clutch players in the field, becoming just the second skip to win 5 titles. And he's got a team capable of making it happen, with last year's Alberta skip, Aaron Sluchinski, joining the squad at third alongside second Tyler Tardy and lead Karek Martin. The alternate is Mike Libas. Heading back over to Manitoba, that province's official representative this year is skipped by Reid Carruthers, who's actually at the Scotties right now, serving as the coach for Carey Anderson's team. Now, Carruthers has been a regular fixture in the Brier draw, going back to his first national championship in 2008, and is set to make his 13th appearance this year. He's still seeking his first title as a skip, but he has tasted victory before winning the championship in 2011 as the second for Jeff Stoughton. This year's squad also involved in some of the personnel shuffles this season, adding BJ Neufeld at third, following his departure from Team Dunstone. Now second, Catelyn Schneider and lead Connor Negevin round out the lineup, while Kyle Doring is the alternate. Curling fans in Kelowna looking to cheer on a homegrown champion will be pinning their hopes to a Brier rookie, as Cameron DeYoung will skip Team British Columbia this year. DeYoung's rink is the 3rd different BC men's champion in as many years to come out of the Victoria Curling Club. Now, while the skip is making his Brier debut in Kelowna, he does have some experience in the lineup, with third Alex Horvath having played with both of the previous 2 provincial champions, skipped by Catelyn Schneider and Jacques Gauthier. Team DeYoung also features Corey Chester at second and Brendan Carpenter at lead, while Paul Zeke, who played a significant role at the provincial playdowns, is the alternate. Now, from a rookie to a wily veteran, making his 17th career Brier appearance and 13th as a skip, James Grattan will once again lead Team New Brunswick onto the national stage. The 50-year-old making his Brier debut in 1997, finishing 3rd, which is still his best result ever as a skip. Grattan added a second Brier bronze, throwing 3rd stones for Russ Howard in 2002. Now, his most recent appearance was last year in Regina, where they finished with a 1-7 record. The team will be looking to make a move up the standings this year with the same lineup, featuring 3rd Joel Kratz, 2nd Paul Dobson, and lead Andy McCann. The alternate is James Grattan's son, Drew Grattan. With Brad Gushu once again wearing Canadian colors, Newfoundland and Labrador will be represented by a team skipped by Ty DeLello, who is making his Brier debut this year. The Winnipeg product headed out to the Rock this season to link up with some players out there, and in their first year together, they've earned a trip to the national championship, beating 2-time Brier skip and former Team Gushu alternate Andrew Simmons in the provincial final. DeLello is joined by Ryan McNeil-Lambswood at third, Daniel Bruce at second, and Aaron Beltham at lead, while Nathan King is the alternate. Only McNeil-Lambswood has previous Brier experience as the alternate for Team Gushu in 2021. And rounding out Pool A, we have a team from Nunavut, skipped by Shane Latimer, who is back for a 2nd straight year after leading the territorial squad in his Brier debut in 2024. While Nunavut is not expected to contend for the title, they are trying to extend a streak of their own, looking to record a win at the tournament for the 3rd consecutive year. It was in 2023 that Nunavut won a game for the first time since being added to the tournament in 2016. Now, in addition to Latimer, the team also features returning players Sheldon Wettig at third and Peter Van Strain, who moves from alternate to lead, along with newcomer Justin McDonnell at second. Now, those are the 9 teams in Pool A. Lots of big names in the mix, which should make for some great games. Next week, we'll take a look at Pool B. Time for a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Brier skip Brad Jacobs.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Brad Jacobs has been a mainstay at the Brier National Championship for nearly 2 decades, finishing in the top 3 5 times and winning it all in 2013. Now he's also an Olympic champion, leading Canada to gold at the 2014 Games in Sochi. He's got the number 2 ranked team in the country this season, and he joins us now. Brad, welcome to the Hardline.
Thank you for having me. I can't believe I've been going to the Brier for like 20 years now almost.
Does it feel like it's still, your first few years where you're just getting the hang of it, or are you a wily veteran now and you know the ins and outs?
Well, a little bit of both. I'd say mostly the wily veteran part. Although when I went to the Brier last year, playing out of Manitoba, playing with a new team, because I'd always played out of Northern Ontario with my cousins and Fry and Mark. Yeah, going to last year's Brier and not being at the previous Brier felt like I was almost brand new again. It was a really refreshing feeling last year's Brier for me.
Well, I was going to say, with the changes that you've undergone, in the last few years, obviously Manitoba last year, now you're out of Alberta, I imagine it does feel new and a little bit different. So what is the feeling like this time around?
Well, we'll see. I'm not too sure yet. But yeah, new team, new province again. This will be, I guess, the 3rd province that I've been fortunate enough to represent. And I've just got a great group of guys. I feel so lucky and so blessed to be playing with these guys. And we're really looking forward to Kelowna. We just had a great meeting today, a little sports psych meeting, and just catch up. We're always talking and communicating all the time, and everybody's just really excited to get to Kelowna at this point. We're chomping at the bit. I guess we leave in just about a week.
How did this team come together? I think we talked about it, heading into the season, and obviously there was a number of changes made in sort of the whole curling landscape. But how did your team come together, and how has the chemistry been since?
Well, kind of all came together at the end of last season. And it wasn't something that any of us had expected. It was really all of a sudden. And as many people know, Ben, Brett, and Mark were looking to make a change at Skip. And I was quite content where I was playing with Team Crothers. I had my mind sort of already made up before they gave me the call that, that was going to be our team for the next couple of seasons. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise for me as well, and we just ended up talking and decided that it was a good fit for them. If I was interested in coming in and skipping, of course I needed to be interested, which I was. I thought it was an opportunity of a lifetime that I really just couldn't pass up, and to be able to play with Mark again was pretty exciting for me. We had a few seasons together, but that was right in the middle of the pandemic. So we were kind of robbed of some really good curling and some good times together. So to be able to do that again is pretty special. And then getting to know Ben and Brett has just been a treat. They're both awesome, both beauties, and Coach Paul, same thing. So we think we have a pretty special group here, and the chemistry's been awesome. We're having a blast. I think that we all have our quirks and whatnot, and we're all our own individuals, but I think our personalities really work and fit quite well together. And what's really neat for me is, we were at one place at the beginning of the season, and we had to kind of go through the normal stages of any sort of team, and we certainly went through that storming phase, and we've just continually progressed and got better. And I think that that's because everyone's so open-minded and really just so world-class, and kind of we all agree that the team is the most important thing here, and playing for each other and doing whatever we can to improve all the time. So yeah, it's been a treat for me, and we're all having fun and hoping to continue to have some fun going into Kelowna.
I was going to say, when you get a bunch of guys who are a new team, obviously there's some chemistry and some familiarity, but You have a lot of personalities, a lot of guys who have played curling for a long time. Do you ever get those moments in your first year where you have to figure out whose voice is going to sort of trump the one? Obviously, as the skip, you ultimately, I think, call the shot, but can you sort of discuss how those voices are handled when it comes to shot making, even pre-planning and whatnot?
Yeah, sure. I mean, when you look at it, if you bring a lead into a team or you bring a second into a team, um, that might be a little bit more seamless, I would assume, than bringing in a back end player, a third or a skip. So there's quite a lot of learning that needs to be done. I know for me in the beginning, I was a little nervous. I was nervous and I was excited. I know the resume of the three guys and the resumes of the three guys in front of me. I know how skilled they are. I know how hard they work. There's a little bit of pressure there because you want to perform for your guys, right? You want to perform and be the best that you can be at your position. And for me, it happens to be skip. But I know that there was an adjustment and a transition. We went through a lot of changes at the beginning of the season, a little bit of delivery stuff for all of us, figuring out the communication piece. I think, one of the biggest things for me coming onto the team, and I've talked about this numerous times and even recently, is I need to get to know my guys. It's important for me that Ben and Brett and Mark and Paul, they all know that I care about them. I need to get to know their families. I need to get to know their kids, and I need to really just win them over as best I can, and hopefully gain their respect really quickly, and earn their trust and earn the respect, as well as get us all to a point where we're all just really willing to run through a brick wall for one another. And I think we did a pretty good job of that, gaining that respect and trust. And it took a little bit of time, but yeah, for me, it was just sort of peeling back the layers of everyone's personalities and really seeing who they are and what makes them tick, what I can do to help motivate them, and I'm sure the same for them. For me, they had to get used to me and maybe my leadership style, and how I sort of approach the game, and what I see as what building a team is like, from my perspective. So yeah, it's come together quite nicely. Really, no complaints. Been lots of learning.
Very cool. Now, having a Brier spot already secured, does that almost make this learning this season a little bit easier, knowing you don't have to go out and win a provincial championship, knowing that this Brier spot has been yours since the team pre-qualified?
Well, not only did we have a Brier spot, Taylor, but we had a trial spot. So when I came onto the team, I said, "Good job, boys, earning that Brier spot and earning that trial spot." I guess I got to thank Brendan Botcher for that too, a little bit,
Yep.
maybe a lot. But yeah, never before have I walked into a team that was automatically in the Brier and in the trials. So it's a different feeling for sure. I think that for me, it definitely made me want to work even harder, though. And I think it just takes a little bit of that pressure off, knowing that those spots are already there. You're walking into a veteran team, with a lot of great systems in place. The guys they've been nothing but welcoming for me, and I've been curious. I've been asking a lot of questions on how they do things, and trying to apply my own little flavor to things. And I think we've just really worked well and collaborated well together. And certainly having the Brier spot as well as the trial spot, it doesn't hurt.
No doubt. When you get the draw to the Brier, do you circle the games right away? Do you sort of go through and say, oh, we need to, this is how we'll have to finish in order to get to that playoff spot? Or how do you approach that when the draw comes out and you finally know your schedule?
I'm the last guy that looks at the draw. I don't care that much, in all honesty. I would say that I think someone posted the draw in our team group chat, and I don't think I looked at it for about a week after. Um, Now, I did finally look at it because the guys started kind of talking about the pools and whatnot. So I thought, oh, I better go and look and see what's going on here. And so, yeah, I don't pay too much attention to that stuff. I'm kind of the type of guy that's like, what time, what sheet, and definitely who are we playing? We want to talk about that pregame and whatnot. But what time, what sheet, get me there, let's go. And I don't want to get there too early either, because I don't want to be in my curling stuff any longer than I have to be. I don't like hurry up and wait. Just get me to the ice, get that practice slide in, and away we go.
And what shot do I need to make? And here we go.
You bet.
There's obviously been a lot of sort of off ice, on ice discussion, whatever you want to call it, about, we've been calling it Foamgate and the broom head covers that have been sort of taking over the discussion away from the actual curling this year. Obviously controversial. What's your take on this whole situation and how it's all played out? And do you think it's going to have any sort of impact moving forward?
Well, I have lots of takes on it. You could call it multiple things, whatever, broomgate, foamgate, shit show gate, gong show gate, whatever you want to call it. It's been bad. It's been really unfortunate. We could probably spend an hour talking about this, Taylor, although we won't do that. And I'm going to have to be careful. Main reason is because I've heard there's a big word out there that everyone's scared of. Lawsuit, I guess, is the word. And there's been all kinds of chatter and talk about that stuff in the background as well. It's been stressful. It's been stressful for teams and players. It's been stressful for manufacturers. I'm sure it's probably been stressful for the World Curling Federation. You don't have to like to think about this stuff that much as an athlete or have it become a distraction, kind of like it has. But here we are, and we're having to deal with it. So, yeah, my thoughts on it, other than all that stuff, I really hope we get this figured out real soon. And I hope that the World Curling Federation realizes that us as the top athletes in the game, both men and women, need to be part of some of the testing and maybe even some of the decision making moving forward as to which equipment we should be using. Because to have this all happen on another level again, about what would it be, 8-9 years after we already went through this, is very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. It's unacceptable, quite frankly. And I've heard that that there was warnings sent the WCF's way about something like this happening, and nothing was done about it. Now here we are, once again, able to back rocks up, call it 2 and 3 feet in some cases, delay break points with some of these newly approved foams, delaying break points till the T line with sometimes even draw weight, even back line and hack weight, able to curl the rock more, and all of this stuff. Like the sweeping athlete, men's and women's, the athletes come so far with technique and strength.
Right.
The last thing we need is equipment that's doing even more than it's already doing. As a matter of fact, it has no place at the top of the game in men's and women's curling. And that's my stance on it. I know that that's the stance of virtually everybody out there. And like I said, I hope that we can figure this out. This is another learning experience. And I think that athletes need to help with this stuff in order to get this figured out properly.
Well, that's a good way to put it. I won't get you in trouble by asking you any more questions about it. But one last one for you. What's it going to take for Team Jacobs to win at the Brier this year?
Ooh, good question. Good question. We went over it all today, and we go over it often. We went over some really good things with our sports psych Jason as a team. We've actually only had 2 really great interactions with him, and he's proving to be awesome. So, but we're gonna have to. The communication piece is gonna have to be bang on. Our game plan, how we approach the game, how we approach our opponents, our playbook. That's a big topic of ours. That's going to have to be, world class, and everybody's going to have to be on board and on the same page. Our front end's going to have to map sheets the best they ever have, and help us out with that. I know that Mark and I at back end, we're going to have to do our roles the best that we ever have, because that's a tough Brier field. You got some great teams, and even the teams that are newer there that we're seeing for the first time, they've been coming up the ranks. They're going to be tough. You've got a good mix of experience as well as some newbies, first timers. And I made sure to reach out to a few of them who earned their first Purple Heart and just send them a note on Facebook, or if I had their number, text them and let them know that congratulations on your first Purple Heart. The Brier is going to be unbelievable. So hopefully our experience kicks in and we're able to just really stay in the moment, not look too far ahead, make a whole bunch of shots, get into the playoffs. And then the reality is, in the playoffs, you have to play the best curling you've ever played in your life, right up and down the lineup. And if we do that, then I know we'll be right there.
Awesome. Well, best of luck at the Brier, and I appreciate you taking some time to join us tonight, and also appreciate your insight.
Great. Thank you.
And with that, we will wrap things up for another week. Thanks again to Brad Jacobs for spending some time with us. Remember to follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all the latest news. You can also find every episode of the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Our next episode comes your way on February 28th. Until then, thanks for watching and good curling.